May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to this evening's meeting. Notice of this regular meeting of the Pitman Board of Education was advertised in the South Jersey Times, posted at Borough Hall, a copy thereof delivered to all Pitman schools to be posted, and posted on the district's website. Further notice was posted and filed as required by law, stating that the board would meet in closed session at 7 p.m. in the Pitman High School Media Center. The president shall entertain any objections with supporting reasons to the conduct of this meeting on the grounds that it violates the Open Public Meeting Act. Seeing none, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Rose, will you please call roll?
Miller,
Here.
Papalardo,
Here.
Grossman,
Present.
Higby Iono,
Here.
Farrell, Pope,
Here.
Bolton,
Here.
Crispin,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our Memorial School Principal, Mrs. Miller, for this evening's recognitions.
Okay, good evening. My friends and I at Memorial, we had a very big day today. 2 choir performances for the winter concert, so we're all going to be a little ready to go to bed as soon as we get home today, right? Thank you for having me tonight. I'm here to present our Spotlight students and our Spotlight staff member for December. So I would like to start with Kinsley Waddington. Come on up, Kinsley. Can you stand up here? All right. So Kinsley is a preschooler in Mrs. Petito's class. She has attended Memorial for 2 years in our full-day preschool program as a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. She's a standout student, always striving to do her best in and out of the classroom. She represents what the preschool program fosters in community and leadership. Mrs. Petito shares this. Kinsley is a leader in room 113 in the preschool class. She helps others like a big sister helps their siblings. Her smile and energy is contagious. She comes to school each morning ready to take on the day. She represents all that we are working toward at Memorial, and when we recite our Panthers Paw pledge every day, we know that Kinsley is trying her best to have all of those characteristics. We are very proud of you, Kinsley, and we know that you will continue to be a very driven Pitman Panther. Let me give you a little today. That's for you. Will you come back up and do the pledge after everybody's done? The Paul's pledge? Yeah? Kinsley. Thank you. Next, we have Benjamin Patterson, our kindergartner. Would you like to come and stand up here? Fabulous. Ben is a kindergartner in Mrs. Himmer's classroom, a friend to all and both talented and driven as a student. Enjoying all that school has to offer, so patient and quiet while having such a presence as a kindergarten leader. We can always look to Ben to represent Memorial's best. Mrs. Himmer shares, Ben is a wonderful role model, kind and thoughtful to everyone, always taking turns with friends in centers and showing such care by listening while others are sharing and speaking, following directions and always having such positive influence in our classroom. Ben's bright smile is contagious, and I am so proud to be Ben's teacher. Ben's character and school community involvement show great things are in store. Ben exemplifies the Panthers pledge. Congratulations. And finally, for our students, our first grade student, Gia Roberto, come on up. Everybody can see you. Our big first grader. Gia is a first grader in Mrs. Cangiano's class. She has great confidence and works hard every day at school. She is also a great friend to all. She includes everyone from lunch to recess to classroom activities and conversation. She is such a great participant in our school day. Gia has a passion for the environment and a special love for the monarch butterfly. During her time here at Memorial, she has created a nonprofit organization to support their disappearing habitat. She has gone from learning and loving about the monarchs to preserving and protecting them. What a big accomplishment for such a young person. All of her qualities and actions will serve Gia very well. She is ready to lead as part of her first grade class and encourages others to join her. This Pitman Panthers future is certainly going to be bright. Thank you, Gia. Can all of the students come up for a second? We do the pause pledge every day, so I'd like to have them recite that for you. Here, you sit here. All right, now do you guys want me to say it and you repeat it, or do we just want to say it together? Do you want me to say it? Say it together? All right, here we go. Ready? Pause. Practice.
Safety, always be kind, work hard, show respect.
Excellent. Okay, and now for our spotlight staff member, who's going to come up and join me reluctantly. I called her into the principal's office, and first it was, what did I do wrong? And then it was, oh no, I don't do well with these things. But we're going to celebrate Barb Schmidt for it's 3 minutes. Okay? Mrs. Barbara Schmidt is our spotlight staff member. Mrs. Schmidt is an instructional aide in Mr. Roy Rambo's classroom at Memorial School. She became part of the Memorial staff last year, moving from Walls School along with Mr. Rambo. Mrs. Schmidt has dedicated decades to Pitman School District in a role that is challenging and ever-changing. She is dedicated, reliable, and has helped many students with needs. Although she is faced with many challenging situations at school, she is always calm and patient. She looks after the students as if they were her own. She has a positive working relationship with the staff and is able to adjust frequently, which is pretty much every day at 7:30 when I'm saying, I need you here, I need you there. To her colleagues, she is supportive and understanding and always helping and trying to solve a problem. She's often asked to switch and fill in at a moment's notice. While it may not be ideal, she always accommodates the need. In a role that is very difficult to fill, Pitman is very fortunate to have such a dedicated individual like Mrs. Schmidt. Here at Memorial, she is irreplaceable. Thank you for your patience, your love, and your support to everyone. You have made an impact on so many children in the Pitman community, and we are very grateful. Thank you all so much.
We can have all of the folks honored tonight. Come on up, we're gonna get a group picture with the Board of Education.
Every month we're there.
You guys have to be up front though, you guys are the stars. We're gonna pop that here.
The real
Thank you. Everybody take a break.
What's that? All right.
To our first public comment. The Pitman Public School Board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. This is the first of two public comments we will have tonight. The first public hearing is on agenda items only. This is a public comment, not a dialogue between the board and the public. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and it's your opportunity to comment or ask questions. In accordance with board policy number 0167, We ask that you state your name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable. To be recognized to speak, please stand behind the podium located to my left and speak clearly for the microphone located on the desk. Seeing no one, that's going to bring us to correspondence. Do we have any correspondence? I will now move to accept a motion that the minutes of the Pitman Board of Education as held on the dates listed below are approved as printed and reading dispensed with. May I have a second?
Second, Florida.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Okay, seeing none, that's going to bring us to our President's Report. First, I'd like to congratulate Board of Education member David Grossman. He achieved the New Jersey the New Jersey Board Member Certification. Mr. Grossman earned the certification by attending the NJSBA's annual workshops, multiple training opportunities, attending county training and meetings, delegate assemblies, and other professional development workshops and classes. This demonstrates a commitment to professional development, and we appreciate all of his time that he has devoted to ensuring that he received this certification. The New Jersey School Board Association tries to pick courses and training opportunities that are related to board governance, and Mr. Grossman has completed quite a few. So I just wanted to congratulate him. The New Jersey School Board Association Delegate Assembly was held on December 2nd. I'm actually going to turn it over to Mr. Grossman as our voting representative to update the balance of the board and members of the public.
I wasn't prepared for that. Okay, so on December 2nd, yes, I attended Mercer County College for our State Board Delegate Assembly. There were 5 resolutions on the table, and the first resolution was a revision in policy language seeking school districts to have the ability to classify students as excluded from cohort as it relates to graduation rates. And that motion carried, passed. Second resolution was a provision that would allow a non-English speaking career and technical education teacher who are skilled craftsmen to obtain certification through either traditional or alternative measures, where such teachers are paired with an English-speaking co-teacher. That resolution did not carry. Third resolution was concerning book bans and guidance for evaluation and selection of instructional materials in New Jersey public schools. And that resolution did not carry. Fourth resolution was a proposal for policy language, again, supporting the belief that the state must support school district pre-employment practices, procedures by assuming responsibility for school district access to data resources that effectively and thoroughly document prior employment history of individuals whose conduct implicates the physical or emotional abuse of children. And that resolution carried. The last resolution only required a 2/3 majority vote to carry, and that was a resolution proposed to revise policy modifying the procedures for selection of the New Jersey School Boards Association nominating committee members as it relates to county VOTEC schools. And that resolution did not carry. And that's all for the delegate assembly.
Thank you. Mrs. Papalardo, Mrs. Pope, Mrs. Farrell, and I were able to attend virtually. Did anyone else attend? Did I miss anyone? And the next one's in May, correct?
Yes.
So you can stay in your PJs on Saturday morning if you're at all interested and you do receive the credit. I think that it's valuable to attend in person if you're able to do so, but I think it's also really important to hear some of the topics and the conversation and hear some of the public speakers. So if you're able to log on virtually in May, I would recommend it. With the conclusion of the recent election and our final shift into Legislative District 3, one of the things that I think, personally I'll continue to focus on in the new year, and I think as a board we should continue to have these ongoing discussions, is that legislative advocacy piece. We currently have a legislative committee meeting for the NJSBA this Saturday morning. If anyone is interested, you can register and attend virtually. The whole meeting's virtual. I think it's 9 to 12 on Saturday morning. I think that one of the first steps that we should kind of consider as the dust settles post-election is drafting a letter to our current representatives outlining some of our fiscal challenges as they relate to the state funding formula and the unfunded mandates that we've seen in the last few years and the impact that districts face when, instituting those policies and procedures and what that means to our currently overtaxed staff members that have to carry out those efforts that are in the state unfunded state mandates. Just kind of outlining those challenges. So my goal is to have that drafted into the remainder of the Board of Education to review, provide any feedback and notes so that we can send that out in the new year. So if you have any thoughts on that, please let me know. Tomorrow night is the NJSBA Gloucester and Camden County meeting. Who's attending that? You're attending? I'm attending.
virtual.
You're virtual? You're in person as well. If anybody would like to carpool, let me know. Are you meeting us there? Likely. Okay, you're driving alone. Melissa, if you'd like to carpool, happy to do so. I think it's the usual like field service updates and training stuff, and then I think the topic is esports for this one. I think this one's going to be covered in something else. Let me just pop forward. Mrs. Papalardo, can I turn it over to you regarding the self-eval?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are in the process of doing our self-eval. We're still trying to make sure that everybody submitted all the full survey so that we can get the results. I'm going to reach out to Terry on Friday and let her know that I've checked in with everybody and we're pretty sure we've all submitted, and have her then go ahead and put it all together and get the document out to us.
Another item that I'd like to discuss as a board is a board retreat. Obviously, we had tentatively put one on the calendar for December 6th, but we had a board retreat last year in February. We need to document ethics training that we do for CUSAC during that board retreat. But I think that we have a lot on our plate this spring, and frankly in the fall as well. So I wanted to see if there was interest amongst board members to piggyback on an existing meeting night, either reorg or the following meeting, to have a board retreat prior to the meeting for an hour. So again, it would always be like an advertised meeting, but we would cover our required ethics training for the 24 year. And then we would probably have our committee structure discussion and some of those best practices and what our agreed upon board goals for the calendar year would be as well. So I'm thinking about an hour. What are your thoughts about doing it piggybacked onto a meeting rather than a standalone?
In January?
In January, because I think we're going to get into a lot of other meeting dates.
Yeah.
So I'd really rather make sure we check that box earlier in the year.
I'm fine with that.
What are your thoughts about reorg?
That's
Reorg's January 3rd.
A standalone?
That's a standalone meeting on January 3rd.
So that's when you're looking to do the board retreat after that?
We do it prior, I would think.
Prior, that same night.
You gotta be sworn back in.
I do have to be sworn back in. Mrs. Bolton will have to be sworn back in as well.
And you do elect a president and a vice president.
You do. We'll have all of those things. We have to identify our delegate assembly rep, so that's represented on our census.
So it'd be like 6 to 7 then?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So does 6 to 7 sound good?
On the third?
On January 3rd.
Okay, and then the reorg is the seventh?
The reorg is right after at 7
That's
p.m.
great.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
one night is better than.
okay, that's how I felt as well, and I think that we just, like I said, we have a lot of meetings and a lot of tasks that are of more importance for us to focus on at this point, but we do need to have that documented ethics training. I would like a board member to take the lead on the ethics training presentation. I don't know if we have any volunteers. Would like to maybe lead that ethics presentation. Maybe something they learned at workshop that could be parlayed into that. But we can work that out amongst ourselves. Mhm. All right, I think that is all that I had. Oh, the last thing that I will ask is that every board member needs to send Mrs. Papalardo and I email indicating what topics or areas of interest that you have, because we may be restructuring the committees. And when we're looking at the committees, we may be changing what falls under each committee. So in doing so, we'd like to know what you're interested in or what you have no interest in and is not your particular cup of tea from a board governance perspective, so that we can make sure that we're structuring those committees to what everyone's preferences are. So please get us that email, preferably by this weekend, because I think Mrs. Papalardo and I would like to sit down before the holidays and get that banged out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Crispin.
Okay, just a couple of pieces of information. We're going to start with, those security drills are there for your review. I'm going to ask Chris to update you on the playground status.
So the playground is almost complete. Our equipment has been installed. The blacktop is down for our basketball courts and our ramps. The pour and play has been put down this week. We are just waiting on a fence to be installed. We are looking at a tentative date sometime during our holiday break, our winter holiday break. So we're hoping that we'll be able to utilize the playground when we get back from break, if weather cooperates with us, and we can utilize that. We are still looking into some things that we want to add to the playground. We're working through that process right now. We are going to have a shed put down. There is a cement slab there for a shed for our students to be able to have equipment over there, and it doesn't need to be brought back and forth across the street. And we also are going to have some porta potties over there as well for students or families if they're utilizing the playground. We will have tables set out there so that people can sit and enjoy watching their children play. And the Gaga pits will be brought over eventually, hopefully once the fence is up. So that is our playground update. I will update you also, we had a room in the elementary building. It was our music room. It had a little bit of an odor to it. We did some testing in there. They didn't find anything in the room. There was, the testing came across that it was a glue from the carpet. So what we did is we tore up all of the carpet in that room, sanded everything down, stripped it, and put new carpet down. That was completed this week. So our music department will now be able to utilize that room. They were utilizing the auditorium to hold music lessons and classes. So that is completed, thankfully, to our facilities department. So.
As many of you know, we were the recipient of one of the grants from the state of New Jersey for a high-impact tutor, and I'm going to ask Rebecca to just kind of give us a quick update.
Sure. We are receiving around exactly $58,000 for this high-impact tutoring grant. The state had anticipated districts being able to begin in late October or November, but they were late on their own approval process, and so we got our award, and then we had to do an RFP process to choose the vendor because we were using an outside tutoring company. We did that. We ended up hiring Catapult Tutoring. They are based in New Jersey. They now have their process of hiring the tutors. And so we anticipate trying to start either around January 9th or the following week. I am working right now with Ms. Streeter to send letters to the families of students who will be offered this opportunity. There will be 9 students offered the opportunity in mathematics and 9 students offered the opportunity in ELA for the first cycle. There will then be a second cycle of the same amount, 18 students, and there will be a third cycle that can't really fit into the school year. It's going to be in the summer as an option. And Ms. Mason, Mr. Morris, and I worked together along with the BSI staff to look at scores from Linkit benchmarks for students when they were in grade 2, because this grant is for tutoring of current grade 3 and grade 4 students. And so we used Linkit benchmarks to make the decisions about this current 3rd grade students, and we used NJSLA data from spring of 2023 to make the choice about current 4th grade students. We'll offer these to families, and then if families choose not to take us up on this, we will continue to create another group based on the list that we have already established and figured out already. So we're ready to go on all of that. We had made those spreadsheets a few weeks ago, and we're just going to move forward. And the tutoring will happen. I asked for an option from the company to do a morning session and an afternoon option, but they cannot get the tutors to do that, so we're just sticking with the afternoon option. It's going to be on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, directly after school.
Thank you. I just want to also keep on there the leasing of Kindle and Wall schools. I know it's a question a lot of people have. We know currently Wall School is being leased to Elk Township for their preschool program. They are taking up the annex, the one wing. We've talked before, we're looking at the possibility of potentially moving our administrative offices from Memorial School over to Wall School to the left-hand side of the building in some of those larger areas to free up some space at Memorial School for the expansion of our preschool there. And then we are in conversations about the potential leasing of Kindle School also for some similar purposes, but nothing there has been finalized. And that's it.
I'm going to turn it over to our student representative, Mrs. Mazzola.
Thank you. Students are well within the throngs of the second marking period and taking it day by day as we attempt to make it through the lull between Thanksgiving and winter break. NHS induction was on November 30th, and the senior junior high community welcomes all of the new inductees. Winter sports have started, and we wish the Panthers well in their upcoming season. Along with sports, the Panthers congratulate all students who got accepted into the All-South Jersey Choir and all students who put on a wonderful show for the fall play this year. Lastly, students are looking forward to the spring musical SpongeBob as the cast list comes out and students begin to rehearse.
Ms. Mazzola, before I forget, one of the conversations that we had was about the student project,
Yes.
and Mrs. Pote has agreed to lead that.
Awesome.
So she'll be your board liaison.
Okay.
And you guys can start that process. She said probably in January.
Awesome.
You
Sounds
guys
good.
can work through. That is going to turn us over to our data committee. Sparrow.
The data committee met on Friday, November 17th at 4 p.m. In attendance were Mr. Crispin, Mrs. Moody, Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Pope, and myself. During the meeting, the committee discussed various aspects related to education data. We talked about the Linkit scores from last spring, along with how IXL is being used in the classroom. The committee also talked about the different math programs that are being considered for future use. We talked about looking into policies to be considered in relation to reassessment, which would give students the opportunity to retake assessments if they performed poorly. We also had the opportunity to talk about ways to make math a double period at the junior-senior high. The data committee will meet again in the spring.
It's going to take us to the CSA search committee. Mrs. Bolden.
Okay, well, on behalf of the CSA committee, we would like to thank all the staff members that participated in our survey that was sent out. We got some valuable feedback for our search and upcoming interview process. So we compiled the results to help us create a job listing and interview questions. And we plan to post the CSA position on December 18th. The committee will meet next week on Wednesday, December 20th to discuss further details.
It's going to bring us to finance and facilities. Mr. Grossman.
Finance and Facilities Committee met in person in the Junior Senior High School Media Center, the room we're presently in, on 12/6 at 7 p.m. In attendance were Interim Superintendent Mr. Crispin, Board Secretary and BA Carissa Rose, Board President April Miller, Rebecca Higbee-Iono, as well as myself. Meeting lasted 1 hour in duration. Items discussed were agenda items here, and hold on, lost my spot. In particular, regarding the vote, in addition to the agenda items, we talked about rental of the VOTEC pool this year, as well as a student transportation agreement, which is item number 9 on the agenda. The focus of the meeting was also planning for the referendum that's coming up. Items included in the referendum are, of course, HVAC is the big one in the elementary school, rooftop AC units for the junior senior high school, the gymnasium floor, resurfacing the high school track, repair of the basement floor in the elementary school, repair the parking lot at the junior senior high school, and repair the drainage in front of the auditorium here, as well as the renovating the junior senior high school auditorium. Also discussed was the elementary school playground, which Carissa had already given you an update on. And we got the ROD grant for the air conditioning in the gymnasium here in the junior senior high school. and we're just actually awaiting the state to send the money before we put that out to bid, right?
The state just needs to give their approval, saying that the money is there, and then once we receive that letter letting us know that, we can go out to bid. They're hoping that it will be in January.
Our state moves fast with everything. And we discussed the Walls rental agreement with Elk Township. There was a small increase there because they're using the more space than originally let onto. They're using the multipurpose room. And we discussed moving the Board of Ed offices over there as well. And some items needed to make that move happen will be some renovations to bathrooms and making it handicapped accessible. That's it for the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting, but if I could, on November 28th, Carissa and I attended the GIF dinner, where we got to give a big round of applause to Carissa for our safety. We took home several awards. The Joint Insurance Fund Safety Award winner. Pass that around. The Atlantic and Cape May Counties Association of School Business Officials Joint Insurance Fund Certificate of Excellence for maintaining a loss ratio below 50% for last year, as well as maintaining a 5-year average below 50%. And average days to report claims, we came in under 24 hours. And then the big one.
You shattered the record on one of those.
Chris was on the phone as the skin was cutting. Nah. Right, the big one, it's like Bob Barker, the big check.
Oh my God.
We earned
Did you deposit that?
$5,500
Did you deposit that?
back to our board for safety.
Did you catch that?
Not see the group photo. We could recreate it.
I was willing for a photo. There were others at the table that did not request a photo. I won't say names.
I did check social media. I didn't
And that's all I have.
Do you want
It's a great
to
report.
move?
That would help, right?
Why don't you formalize what you've done?
Yes. So back to the Finance and Facilities. I make a motion that we approve items 1 through 9 on the agenda. Can I get a second?
Okay, is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Rose, please call the vote.
Then Higby Iono.
Yes.
Bolton.
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes.
Papalardo.
Yes.
Pope.
Yes.
Grossman.
Yes.
Miller.
I abstain from number 7 and yes to the rest.
Motion's passed.
That is going to bring us to curriculum instruction, and I'll turn it over to Committee Chairwoman, Mrs. Papalardo.
All right. So the Curriculum Instruction Committee met on Tuesday, December 5th at 5 p.m. In attendance were Mr. Crispin, Mrs. Rose, Mrs. Bolton, Mrs. Pope, and myself. And some of the items we discussed included new staff candidates that are being hired on tonight's agenda, as well as some staff resignations, some upcoming staff development opportunities that will be offered, some custodial and maintenance changes, and we got a scheduling update for next year regarding the junior, senior high school schedules for the 8 versus 9 period day. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 2 through 36 as written.
We're going, is it 37 now?
No, but it's 36.
36.
You need to.
Yeah,
walk
sure.
that
So
on.
there's for number 36 under curriculum instruction, it is a termination of employee ID number 2341, effective January 12th, 2024.
May I have a second?
Second, Grossman.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Rose, please call the vote.
Higby Iono.
Yes.
Bolton.
I need to abstain from number 18 and then yes for the rest.
Farrell.
Yes.
Papalardo.
Yes.
Pope.
Yes.
Grossman.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes to 2 through 35, and I abstain from number 36.
Motion's passed.
And communication and policy, we did not meet this month, so there is no report.
Yes, there's nothing to report.
Great report.
That's gonna, that's gonna bring us to our second public comment. Please state your name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none. Do we have any old business? Any new business?
Yeah, I'd just like to do a quick shout out. I could shout out to the entire staff because things are going extremely well. I think people are really getting settled in everywhere we are, from our support staff to our teaching staff to our administrative team. They've taken on a lot more responsibilities than they previously had, but everything is just running extremely smoothly. But also to our facility staff. It's been a challenge. You know, you think about the summers are the time in which we really have time to kind of get things in order, and we know that this was not the summer for that to happen. So it has been a scramble, and you know, Chris had mentioned the music room. Boy, that was a shocker. It was a shocker just the fact that how much work had to go into getting that to where it is. And they've just done an unbelievable job. It's been a lot of manpower. Room looks great if anybody has a chance to stop by there. But I know Krista and Mark, you know, and their leadership, it's been a big undertaking. But just throughout the entire district, we're really working hard. You know, it's one of our goals to address some of these areas as far as our facilities are concerned. And that's a team that's doing really some great things in the district. So just want to kind of highlight that.
Before I entertain a motion to adjourn, I just want to wish everyone in the community a happy holiday and to have a wonderful new year. I will entertain motion to adjourn our last meeting of 2023.
So moved.
And I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
None of you were leaving.
The next board meeting will be our reorganization meeting scheduled for January 3rd, and the next regular Board of Education meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, January 17th in the Pitman Junior Senior High Media Center. Thank you.